Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. Happy New Year. It's New Year's Day, and we're in the middle of a back-to-back. I'm going to be just like Davion, and let's leave that one back in the last year. We changed the calendar, move forward, and whatever happened yesterday, I have amnesia about. I don't even know what happened. In fact, there's no stars of the game tomorrow. I mean, yesterday from the game against, I don't even remember who we played. I've wiped my mind. I've done that Men in Black thing. It's convenient because the calendar changed and we're in a new year now. This is a new time. Whatever happened yesterday don't matter no more because we're in a new year, 2025. And I have wiped my head of it. Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit, but I want to focus on previewing the Brooklyn game today because onward and forward. Because in some ways, man, the less we dwell on this really, really bad string of games to end 2024, that would be great. You know, last year was a bad year for the Raptors win-wise. You know, all of pretty much 2024, we didn't win much at all. Like, I think we won 20 games in all of 2024, like from the second half of last year to this year. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's very, 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 very bad. 20 and like 63 or something like that is what we were. Yeah, it's really, really bad. All right, let's get into the preview for today. We're playing Brooklyn at the arena. I'll be going down there to watch the game in person in the lower bowl. I'll be sitting near the end line, and I'll be as loud as I can be to help them try and win a game against a team that they have a chance to beat because they're not as good as most of the teams in the league either. And they've been losing more than they've been winning in the last little while. Also, Brooklyn Nets. All right, on our injury report right now, it hasn't really been updated. I think most people have been just taking the holiday and celebrating last night. But yeah, Emmanuel quickly will be out for sure. And then after that, it's all wide open. I mean, I would say maybe RJ Barrett's going to play tonight. Grady Dick also possibly could play tonight. So the only one that's for sure is Emmanuel, that he'll be out. And then otherwise, we may be fully strength otherwise, depending on Grady and RJ. And in the game that happened yesterday, last year, we really missed both Barrett and Dick because honestly, they're the capable scorer guys that can get their own shots and make offense themselves in kind of productive ways when the team cannot score, which was what was happening yesterday. Honestly, we're missing the three names on the injury list right now are the three probably best scorers, like individually on our team: Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, and Grady Dick. And I think that part of what happened yesterday is a testament to how good those guys are at scoring. Now, we haven't seen Emmanuel hardly at all this year, but man, he can get offense. And Grady, he's been showing different ways to get his offense. So we definitely missed him yesterday. And also RJ, because we know what RJ does too. So yeah, those are the only injuries on the list for the Raptors. Bruno Fernando, Davion Mitchell, all those guys came back. In fact, we had the starting lineup with the two Baylor guys in the backcourt, Jacoby Walter and Davion Mitchell, starting together yesterday in the game yesterday. For the Brooklyn Nets, there are some injuries. It seems that D'Angelo Russell has arrived and is available for the Brooklyn Nets at this point. So he will probably be playing today in his return for to this team in the trade from the Lakers this weekend. So we should expect to see D'Angelo out there. Bojan Bogdanovic is still out. He is ruled out for the game today with his foot. Trendon Watford has been ruled out for today's game due to a hamstring. Cam Thomas ruled out, also a hamstring issue. And Zaire Williams practiced Tuesday and is nearing a return to game action, but is looking like he may be out still with his knee. So the Nets have changed a little bit since we saw them last time. It looks like Ben Simmons is getting demoted to the bench with D'Angelo Russell starting now. They'll probably start D'Angelo and Ben. With Cameron Johnson, of course, their leading scorer, the guy who's been carrying them lately, Noah Clowney and Nick Claxton up front. Also, Jalen Wilson off the bench, Day'Ron Sharp, Reese Beekman, Keon Johnson, Tyrese Martin, and Maxwell Lewis now on this team with them also. So Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the Nets. Of course, when they make you make a trade and you have a new player coming back, even if he's familiar with the organization and he's been around, there's a little bit of a learning curve of adjusting to him being back in the lineup with the personnel that you have. But we'll see. We'll see how smooth that goes for them. Of course, D'Angelo Russell does enjoy trying to torch the Raptors, but he's not that high level of a scorer on his own without a really good team around him so that he can be controlling. So the Raptors absolutely need to beat the Nets today. They need to stop this madness and start the first day of the year on the right foot by getting a W right away and ending this stupid, crazy nightmare losing streak. The Raptors' last 4 or 5 games have been nightmare games. It's been a little bit of a stretch that is one of the most awful in the history of the Toronto Raptors' 30 years of existence. And well, we need to turn the page of the calendar and get rid of it and start over with this new year of 2025 and kick some butt and fix things. So yeah, there's your injury report. There's a few Nets out. There's a few Raptors probably going to be out. Hopefully, only 1 or 2 Raptors. Emmanuel for sure, and we'll see. Hopefully, we get either Grady or RJ back today, and that would be fantastic. Looking at the ref report, refs aren't too bad today. This is the other thing that's been annoying me is some of these games that we've been having recently. We've had really nice refs to us. We have not had mean refs, and we're still managing to lose games. Kevin Scott was very fair yesterday. You saw the Raptors win a couple challenges. We also saw the refs, Evan Scott really looking out for us. So the Kevin and Evans show wasn't that bad with the refs. I can't get mad at them for what was happening. In fact, in some ways, at a certain point, if you're so bad like the Raptors were yesterday, the refs will really start trying to help you just to make the score look a little bit better. And that's why it's so pathetic that the Raptors had the biggest margin of loss ever in the history of their franchise yesterday. And they beat a record that they had set earlier last season in 2024. They had their worst loss to Minnesota in the second half of the season last year. Well, they beat that this just now yesterday, right at the end of the calendar year. That's annoying, man. So I didn't think of 2024 as being one of the worst years in Raptors history for winning. It really is. In some ways, it's a good year for other stuff as far as a draft year and also getting good development. But man, we're in a bad place right now. They only winning will save right now at this point. So our crew chief for today, for our game today, is Curtis Blair. Curtis Blair's 17th season out of Roanoke, Virginia, number 74. His favorite TV show is Dexter. He likes the movie Grease. He listens to Casey and JoJo. He likes to eat lamb curry. He most like to visit Brazil. And his hidden talent is tennis. Curtis Blair has officiated 895 regular season games and 40 playoff games in 16 seasons as an NBA official. In 2018-19, he made his playoff debut as an NBA referee and worked the NBA All-Star game in Charlotte, North Carolina. Curtis isn't a bad ref for the Raptors. We like him. Actually, he's statistically the best ref for the Raptors today. We have had him twice this year. We've lost both the games that he refereed. We win 57% of our games, and the Nets win 47. So 57-47 for the Raptors over the Nets with the crew chief, Curtis Blair. The second ref is Nate Green in his 6th season out of Des Moines, Iowa, number 41. His favorite TV show is The Wire. He likes the movie Coming to America. He listens to Selena Johnson. His favorite book is A Lone Survivor. He'd like to eat some tagliatelle bolognese. His favorite app is Netflix, and he most like to visit Africa. Yeah, Nate Green has officiated 167 regular season games in 5 seasons as an NBA staff official. Yeah, Nate Green's not too bad. He's up near Curtis on my ref spreadsheet. He's a 54% winner for the Raptors. We did lose the only game he reffed this year. And meanwhile, the Nets have a better win percentage, though, 58%. So 54-58 for the Nets with the second ref, Nate Green, today. The last ref is the golfer. It is Matt Boland. Matt Boland is a semi-professional golfer himself. 22nd season out of Cromwell, Connecticut, number 18. We had him a lot last year for refereeing, and we actually won most of the games that he refed us last year. This is going to be the first game that he refs us this year, regular season. He did ref us in the preseason a little bit. His favorite TV show is Seinfeld. He likes the movie Tin Cup. His favorite musician is Tom Petty. He likes the book High Performance Habits. His favorite meal is pizza. His favorite app is weather. He most like to visit Scotland, and his bucket list is to play golf at Augusta National. Yeah, Matt Boland has officiated 1,161 regular season games and one playoff game in 21 seasons as an NBA staff official. He also worked the 2016 NBA All-Star game in Toronto. So he worked the All-Star game that we had here. And that's interesting. He's only refereed one playoff game in 21 seasons, even though he's been in the league for so long. They just don't let him ref in the playoffs. He's a regular season ref, I guess. That's interesting. All right, Matt Boland is an interesting ref. We had a good record with him, but it's kind of gone down the tubes more recently. We are 50% winning percentage, just slightly below 50%. It's 49.5. But meanwhile, the Nets are 42%. So 50 to 42 is a split for the Raptors with the pro golfer, Matt Boland. He is a professional golfer in his spare time other than refereeing. So, yeah, that's our crew. Curtis Blair, Nate Green, Matt Boland. And Curtis Blair and Matt Boland favor the Raptors, and Nate Green favors the Nets. So there's your ref report for today's game. Let's go see what you guys are saying in the chat this morning. Trevor J's first in, Commissioner of Fun. Trevor J having the New Year's Eve party last night. Hopefully it was a good time. Nothing too crazy. No craziness. Just having a good time, good vibes, and good happiness. That's right. Happy 2025. Wait for all your blessings, and thank God for seeing another year. Yeah, like waking up another day, waking up another morning, waking up another year, because it just started a new year. It was tough to stay up last night. I don't know why. It was weird because the game was so early. And then for the whole evening, I was like, wow, I was actually kind of expecting to be watching the game now. And then around 9 o'clock, I was like, man, it's only 9. I thought it would be almost midnight by now. It threw me off having such a weird time for the game yesterday at 3. And it was a struggle to stay awake till midnight. This guy's getting old. I mean, seriously, that's how it is right now. Yeah, Trevor's saying, be strong enough to walk away from what's hurting you and be patient enough to wait for your blessings you deserve. There you go. That's tough. Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And, the best decisions in your heart, and try and have the courage to make them. There you go. Trevor's saying, hoping for better and new start for the Raptors in 2025. Let's be positive this morning. Leave all the negative stuff back in 2024. Yeah, that's what Davion's saying on his Instagram. He has a picture of him being in Boston and saying, let's just leave that one behind in the last year. And in some ways, it is kind of convenient that we just flip the calendar and we're in a new year. And let's start fresh after such a really the worst loss in Raptors history ever went down yesterday. And it was embarrassing, honestly. Like I said, I'm not doing stars of the game for the game yesterday because I don't think any of the Raptors deserve it. There was one Raptor that scored double digits. It was Scotty. And then the rest of them, none of them could score double digits. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Celtics, there's 8 guys who got double digits. So it's just a pathetic performance all around of futility. Really, really bad conversions on baskets. They were missing such easy shots in some places. And then also just turning the ball over, just really dumb stuff. And man, that margin just grew and grew and grew and got so bad at the end of it. And it's crazy because the first half was interesting. They were actually playing really good defense on the Celtics. The Celtics were missing a lot. And still the Celtics were up by 10 at halftime, even though, if it had been the normal Raptors and playing a little bit better and having more confidence, we might have had the lead at halftime. But because we're just not right now, it was just kind of a weird thing. That 12 points in the first quarter is pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic. And then the fact that they couldn't score for the whole last part of the first quarter and a big chunk of the second quarter, they were stuck on 12 points for a long time there, was just pathetic. I know the Celtics have a pretty good defense, but a lot of that is just on incompetence. Honestly, the Raptors were pretty incompetent to being able to be offensive yesterday. And it's sad. It sucks. It's too bad. It is what it is. And as a whole, they just need to understand that, yeah, they got to be way, way better. Way, way better. Jimmy Pope's here. The Pope of positivity. Let's see how positive he can be. Let's look forward, like Trevor's saying. Well, we'll have to look back a little bit. He's saying crazy stat. In the last four games, we gave up 555 points. That's 139 points per game, the most by any team in a 4-game stretch since 1991. Wild. Yeah, those kind of stats annoy the hell out of me. And yeah, that's horrible. That's so horrible and sad and pathetic. And in some ways, Raptors, y'all are having this around your neck right now. Instead of a winning chain after win in the locker room and everybody's smiling and cheering because somebody got a chain. No, you're getting bad records, franchise records for futility hung around your neck right now. And I don't think that should feel good or be happy about that. You guys have broken a different record each game the last time. You got the biggest margin of defeat in Raptors history yesterday. Before that, you had the most turnovers for the season. And before that, you had the most points scored on you ever in a game. Like, yeah, these are not records y'all want to be collecting right now. And hopefully we can end the streak today down in the arena and y'all can start moving in the right direction as far as more competitive, closer games, maybe possibly winning here and there games. That would be real good because this is getting ridiculous, honestly. This is getting ridiculous. And I expect better effort and better output from you guys overall. Seriously. Jimmy saying the whole defensive staff and team got to get their shit together. We're breaking all the wrong records. Yeah. Yeah. It's really bad. I wish that they would understand this and have some pride about it and try and avoid them. In some ways that's happened in the past. When a team would be getting close to a certain record, they would try really, like, if they're not competing to win the game, well, let's compete to avoid this record and garnering this notorious bad record. And in some ways that's not happening right now either. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different excuses and reasons I can give y'all for what's happening. I mean, it's true what Alvin said on the broadcast yesterday, that at this point in the season, a lot of the teams that have had good luck with injuries, not had many injuries, they're gelling and they're getting to new levels of play and going in a little bit more of hyperdrive. We've seen it with Atlanta. We've seen it with Boston. We've seen it with New York and Memphis. And in some ways, unfortunately, because the Raptors have had so many injuries, we've never gotten to be able to get to that point where we're at this stage in the middle of the season where our team is playing at a certain level of collective gelling and a groove. We can't get in a groove because our guys are in and out of the lineup so much that we haven't been able to achieve this like these teams that we're seeing right now. And that's part of the reason why they're blowing us out of the water and doing so well, is because they understand what they're doing as a team. And we're still trying to figure out the pieces, putting them together, because the pieces have been coming in and out of the puzzle box and not having all the pieces all at once. And that's part of the problem right now. It's just too bad. It's just too bad. Nako's here. Y'all, I forgot that yesterday is actually Nako's birthday. Nako's birthday is New Year's Eve, y'all. So happy birthday, Gerald. I would have mentioned it on the stream yesterday, but I didn't remember until I got on Facebook after I did the stream, and I saw your name in the birthday list. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Gerald's birthday. So happy birthday. Yesterday was Nako's birthday, y'all, just so y'all know. And, well, I put it on the calendar. I'm not going to miss it next year, Gerald. We're going to make sure we say your birthday on the stream in the morning and celebrate your birthday. So happy birthday to Gerald Nako the Nacho, y'all. Seriously, I didn't watch the last half of that game. It looked like they were doing okay to start. The first half was okay. They were only down by 10. And honestly, the way the first half went, I was like, this is one of those weird games where if the Raptors do things right, they could win this game because they have a chance. They're only down by 10. And in some ways, the Celtics are not sharp and they're not playing well. Well, at halftime, I guess whatever Joe Mazzulla said to the Celtics got them back on right, and they started nailing shots like crazy. Jason Tatum took over the game a bit in the third quarter, and, well, it was, a group of them all hitting threes, doing pretty well. Drew Holiday hitting threes, Peyton Pritchard hitting threes, and Derek White hitting threes, and Jason Tatum, those guys specifically. And, yeah, if you look at the team stats from that game, it's really disgusting the difference in three-pointers. They got 22 threes made, and we only made 10. They shot 50% from over 50% from three, and we only shot 25% from three. That's a huge, huge problem right there. We took only one less shot than them, but they made 20 more shots than us yesterday. 54% shooting for them overall, and we shot 31% all around. Like, we had a real hard time down low. I think teams have really figured it out. Like people have said recently, that you pack the paint against the Raptors, they can't score on you because they can't hit outside. And there's a lot of problems with that right now, where they're stymieing us down low with all of our action around Jakob, with a lot of people just confusing things and making things physical around in the lane. And the Raptors are just not finding a way to score. It's too bad. It's really bad. Yeah, and 4 missed free throws for the Raptors. I'm not going to nitpick about that, but they only got 11 chances at the line. There wasn't a lot of fouls called. We got out rebounded by 5. Yeah, the assists, 29 for them, only 18 for us, so we're not sharing the ball very well. The connection was bad. There was some really poor shots, poor passes. I mean, we saw it both ways. Scotty threw a pass to Davion. Davion wasn't ready. And then Davion threw a pass to Scotty, and Scotty wasn't ready. So, yeah, Scott and Davion, eye contact. Make sure that you guys looking at you before you rifle off a pass to somebody. And also stop passing into the lane where there's a bunch of defenders right there to Jakob. He can't handle that kind of pass when there's 3 guys right around him. So stop trying to feed the ball to Jakob then. You guys got to be more aware and where the distribution of the defenders are, and really take them apart by getting to the spot where they are less at. And if that means throwing it to Baji in the corner or something like that and working it around a little bit more, so be it. But trying to force the ball into the lane where there's like 3 or 4 defenders of the other team is always a turnover right now. And y'all got to learn that right now. It's really bad. Turnovers, 21 turnovers for the Raptors yesterday. That's still way too many. We had 8 more than the other team. 8 more. Their points in the paint, 44, and we only had 26. Yeah, and a 56-point lead is the highest lead that the Celtics had at a certain point yesterday. That is just ridiculous. I mean, it did look like their score was like doubled up on us for a while there. It was really bad, Gerald. And I don't blame you for not watching the second half. The first half was okay, even though it was ugly and neither team could score. It was still close enough that the Raptors looked okay. But the second half blown right wide open. Jimmy, I'm not going to say that word that you put in there because I don't like saying that word in any kind of way. He's saying that this has been a certain season. I just hope we get some good luck at the draft. People seem to forget we can drop in the draft. It's always luck. Yeah, I mean, that's why I've never been about like losing on purpose to try and get a draft pick, because there's nothing guaranteed in the draft. You can ask any of the teams that were like the worst teams last year that dropped in the draft, that didn't get as high in the draft as they thought they would. And meanwhile, Atlanta, a play-in team, ended up getting the number 1 pick. So it's like, yeah, I've never really, this is what it is. We're going to do what we're going to do. And well, the team's bottoming out right now. And this is where metal gets tested. This is where, your sanity as a fan gets tested. The players have to go through the fire, and they got to search their souls and figure out how to fix this. That's part of it too. Smooth saying Boston was barely breaking a sweat. Terrible. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think that it's not even, it's all how you want to look at it. I mean, we made them work very hard in the first half. They couldn't get anything right. In fact, I was very proud of the Raptors' defensive energy to start the game, because the Celtics, a very, very good scoring team, could not get going. And we were very much covering them really, really well. I mean, in some ways, in the situation we're in, we got to take the small victories. And one of them was, even though we couldn't score ourselves, we were holding the Celtics to a low point total for a long time and playing very excellent rotational defense. So if I can shine a light on one bright spot, it's that the first half of defense by the Raptors on the Celtics was actually really, really good. And I think Darko even mentioned that after the game, that he was very, very proud of the team for their defensive effort in the first 24 minutes. The second half, it got away from us and got unraveled, and boom, they were just they were hitting then. Jimmy saying it's up to the team if they want to turn things around in health. It's a shame we haven't seen our top 3 play together. So I'm on giving up on this core. Yeah, you're not. This is not. See, this is the way you get screwed up, Jimmy, in a really perennial bad situation with your team over and over again, is just not having patience. And we have to have patience. We can't do anything until we absolutely see Emmanuel back out and playing for a good stretch this year. It's not giving up on this core and all this kind of stuff is silly right now because in some ways we still haven't seen them. And in some ways, that's the thing I'm going to continue to say until we see them. Now, if we get them for a good stretch of time and they're still not a winning kind of thing where they can win, well, then yeah, we need to maybe tinker with maybe one of the main guys and switch them out. But I don't say wholesale changes, and I don't say changing the whole thing at all that much. It's just that we have no idea yet, and in some ways, we could do everything right with our off season, come in the season really like connected and do everything right, but because of injuries, we're just not able to display or see how our team will gel and what levels they could probably get to if they are healthy. And that's what sucks about this. We'll see what happens. This is a new calendar year. In some ways, I want to forget about what happened. Like I said, I'll use the neuralizer or whatever from Men in Black and just zap myself. And I'm not even going to think about the stuff that happened yesterday or the games before yesterday. I'm going to think about today, the Brooklyn Nets, and the new opportunity for the Raptors to get on the winning side of things and play a better game and effort out there and hopefully beat the Nets. Now, if we lose to the Nets today, well, then we'll talk about it more tomorrow. And we'll definitely, have to keep raising the concerns because this losing streak is persisting. And it hopefully can be ended today. Hopefully it could be ended today. That's right. One thing they keep talking about too is in this season, this part of the season right now, they don't get any practice time. And some ways that's been part of the problem is that there hasn't been time for the Raptors to get a whole lot of practice time. They had some on Saturday. That was the last time they had practice time. They maybe had that one big, huge practice on Saturday, and they hadn't had a practice in like 2 or 3 weeks otherwise. So that's been part of the problem. There's a lot of problems and mistakes that have been happening in games with the Raptors. They're watching tape and talking about it, but in some ways, they're not getting the practice time on the court to try and fix all of it. And in some ways, there's so many problems. It's like, where do you start right now? A little bit with what to clean what up with what. I think that in some ways, we need to just get healthy. And if we could get RJ back today and get a win over the Nets and start feeling better feelings right away from the beginning of this year, that would be very helpful because in some ways we it's a morale thing to a degree at this point. It's a morale thing, and they need to keep their morale up a little bit better, and a win would help that. A win would help that for sure. Let's see. Jimmy's saying, okay, this is somebody else, 44.5. I'm not sure who's saying this. Admirable dedication, Raptors freaks. For me, Canada's team plays in Oklahoma City, although I also like to keep my eye on the Pacers. I don't even know who this is. 44.5. I don't know that name, 44.5. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plays in Oklahoma City, and I root for him and Luguentz Dort. But let's not get it twisted. Canada's team is still the Toronto Raptors. And, well, we're just down right now. If you want to designate that team as your Canada's team right now, you go ahead. But that's just not the truth. I mean, seriously. And you like to keep your eye on the Pacers. Yeah, I mean, I like Siakam. I'd like to see them do some things. I have a couple different teams around the league I'd be very happy with doing well. Rockets are another team that I'd like to see do well. I've liked Memphis. I even really like Memphis recently. If Memphis does really well in the postseason, I'd be happy about that. And it's weird. I even like the Hawks the other day, even though they tore us up. There's some things about the Hawks that are very intriguing, and I could see them doing some stuff in the postseason. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different teams to watch if you don't want to concentrate on the sadness that is the Raptors right now. Mischief saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Hope you're having a great day, Jay. And let's get this new year off right with a win over the Nets today. Come on now, Raptors. Have some pride, and let's stop this futility that's going on right now. That's right. Neil's saying Darko has a lot of corrections to do with this team. Start with the simple things. Get to your fouls. To get 2 fouls, you sit. Yeah, he mentioned this, that in some ways we're still having a problem with fouling too much, that's still an issue in certain ways. It is what it is. I just want them to do the things correctly in the basic fundamental ways, and that will branch out and lead to success over time. And right now, they're losing some of their fundamentals in recent games that they had been showing consistently for most of the season so far. And that's the scary thing to me. They've unraveled in games where they absolutely lose any kind of pressure from themselves to try and keep up. And it's just the game gets away from them. That's a scary thing. That hadn't been happening in the season until recently. But I think it has a lot to do with what I was saying. The teams have had a couple months now to work on what they're doing, and they're getting good at gelling and playing together as a team. This is definitely true about the Atlanta Hawks. And well, in some ways, we're just trying to pick up the pieces of the basics with the players coming back and being healthy. We have had no time to actually gel the right way, which is too bad. It's too bad. Fiercely saying, "Good morning, fam, and happy new year. Wishing your health first and foremost, blessings and golden relationships." There you go. That's a very nice wish, MJ. And back at you. I hope that you have a great start to your New Year's also, and all those areas are the same. Trevor saying, "I prayed for those families who lost their loved ones in the deadly attack in New Orleans. I have not heard about any news about something that happened in New Orleans. I guess I live under a rock. I did not know that something happened in New Orleans. Whatever happened, I'm not informed on. But if somebody lost their lives, that's sad. That's sad for sure." Fiercely saying, "Let's be patient indeed with our team. Year one of the rebuild." Well, just patience in general. I mean, I could get all bent out of shape and be crazy on this channel, but what's the point? I mean, I'm sure there's other content makers that are like overreacting and getting all crazy and being a little abusive towards the team and stuff like that. But what's the point? What's the point? It is what it is. We got to go through it. And the more emotionally mature and healthy about it we are, the better in some ways. I'm not going to go get crazy about this. I understand the NBA is like this sometimes. Your team's going to go through cycles of good and bad times. And we're in a bad time right now. That's just how it is. It's just how it is. And it'll get better over time. It's just, it may not happen overnight. And it's going to be something where it's going to be a climb. And some fans may not be able to handle it. Some fans will not be able to handle it, and they'll have to walk away. And that's fine. But I'm going to go through it with them. And I know a lot of y'all will be here with me also. Nins is here. Good to see Nins. Have we not learned anything from the Thunder's process? Good things take time. There you go. See, that's a voice of reason. That's a voice of like, this is something similar to these other teams have gone through before us. They're a little bit ahead of time, and we can see their progress now. And boom, you can feel better about the possibilities and the prospects for the near future because of teams like Oklahoma City and how they've come from like being a bottom of the barrel team to rising up in the standings and being at the top of the Western Conference now. So we need to realize that too, that we gotta go through the fire and get there. Yeah. Roger Raymond saying good morning and happy New Year's of 2025, Raptor Freaks. Roger Raymond, happy New Year to you too. Yeah, it's weird. It just seems like another day, but it is another year that we started just now. That's right. Neil saying balance the rotation defense wise. Make it easier to sustain defense and build on offense. Mobo should be the starting point power forward, full stop. I don't know. I mean, this is part of what we're seeing with the guys coming back. Now that Bruce is back, Kelly's back, and most of them are healthy. The rookies are getting more relegated to end of the rotation and bench kind of roles, and rightfully so. We saw a lot of time with Jonathan already. And I think that he's important to the rotation. I think he should play every game, but I don't know if he should start. I don't know if he should start. We could get a better starting lineup, and he's a very good person to have coming off the bench. But I don't know. I don't know. I won't totally agree with this as far as Mobo. Scotty should be the starting power forward, is what I would say. Blackhawk saying we had a Bruno sighting. Oh my God. Yeah, when they put Bruno in, I was shocked. I didn't know he was active, partly, and then also he was out there, and I was like, is that I thought he was somebody else at first, but then I was like, oh wait, no, that's Bruno. Yeah, he was out there for a quick second. I don't even want to look at the box score. I would go over all their performances. I mean, Scotty is probably the only one that's really worth noting in any kind of way. But yeah, as I said, I'm not giving stars for this game because they were really bad. Scotty got a double-double, 16 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 6 turnovers, a minus 39. 7 of 19, 1 of 8 from 3. Yeah, Scott did a little bit of that superstar kind of trying to do stuff, but it was really just ineffective. And I don't know, man. I'm getting a little worried about whether we have enough to battle with the rest of the league on a night in, night out, night in, night out basis right now. Because in some ways we're not matching ability, and we're not matching aptitude, and we're not matching uh, any kind of like quality kind of play against teams that in some ways they haven't had their best foot forward against us, and we still getting our butt kicked bad. I mean, 45 points for the Celtics in the third quarter was absolutely dreadful. And then they went ahead and got another 35 in the fourth. And that is 80 points in 2 quarters. And that is a ridiculous amount of points in a half. 80 points in a half. That's just ridiculous. And that, in the first half, we did a good job with them for the most part. We only down by 10 at halftime, but boy, did they blow it open by then. Jakob got 13 rebounds, which was good. 7 points for him. They limited him. In fact, that was something the broadcast brought up a lot, that Jakob Poeltl dropping 35 points on the Celtics. And the first time we played him, well, Coach Joe and the Celtics keyed on Jakob Poeltl, and we're not going to allow him to do anything like what he did the first time we played him. And that's for sure. And then we got guys like Jacoby Walter and Ochai Agbaji, both only hitting 1 shot out of all their shots they took. 1 for 7 for Agbaji with 2 points. 1 for 10 for Jacoby with 3 points. And these guys were both starters, getting starters minutes yesterday. And that's just bad. That's really, really bad. Like I said, there's only one guy who scored double digits yesterday, and the rest of the Raptors all single digits. And meanwhile, you look at the other side and you got a plethora of Celtics getting double digits in different ways, like Jordan Walsh getting 10 points in 12 minutes at the end of the bench. Meanwhile, we got Jamal Shed getting 25 minutes and only scoring 5 points with a minus 37. Yeah, that's really, really bad. I don't even want to look at this. This is so bad right now. Like I said, I'm not giving any stars of the game because the game was so bad. So bad. They didn't deserve no stars. No stars at all. Boom goes the dynamite. Yeah. Let's see. Mischief saying, I found a high volume stretch big center in 2025 draft, second round. The Twins, Tomislav Ivic, 38.5%, and Ziemir Ivicic, Rashir Fleming, my favorite 3 stretch big centers in the draft. Okay, I'm going to do drafts, scouts, but I don't want to do it today right off the bat the first day, because this is a preview and a reaction stream, and I kind of want to get done. I don't even want to be on the stream right now, guys. Honestly, I got to get ready for the game today, and I got a whole bunch of things I want to do and accomplish this afternoon. So, yeah, I'll do a scout. I'll promise I'll start doing scouts like in the next couple days, the new players for this year. But right now, I don't feel like doing it today because it is the first day of the year, and I don't want to go right off the bat. Let's see. Blackhawk saying, I'm right there with you, Mischief. We just need one more second and a pick. All right, we'll have to see what happens, you guys. And yeah, you guys are so done with this season. You just want to skip right to the draft right now, it sounds like. Carlos saying, just a reminder, Oklahoma City had a 73-point whooping 2 years ago. There you go. There you go. It's just that we don't want to break all our records like they broke their record there. So just 2 years ago, they lost by 73 points. That is crazy. That is crazy. Neil saying, putting Mobo in as power forward will take the pressure off of Scotty. He needs help physically and size-wise. We have it, but we have got to tap into it. Now, I get the whole philosophy of if you start Jonathan, that means Scott can play more further down the lineup in a big in a smaller position. Like, maybe he's the shooting guard or point guard, and then Jonathan and Jakob are out there being the 4 and the 5. I mean, I can get behind that kind of logic for why you're saying it, but I still feel like there's too many talented guys that we're starting right now, like Ochai and Jacoby, that are in there that kind of deserve to start over Jonathan right now, just because they have more potential to score more. And in some ways, they're also better defenders. Even though Jonathan's a bigger player, those guys are actually better defenders than Jonathan Mobo in some ways. That's another reason. But I mean, I get the theory and why you're saying this is that Scott takes a lot of the burden off of the rebounding and big man stuff that he has to end up doing. I think that's big part of the problem right now. As much as Scotty's such a great passer and he could play all kinds of positions, it's too important for him to do big man stuff because we just need more people doing big man stuff. And in some ways, he's not like thinking about doing the big man stuff all the time. He's floating around doing different duties in different ways, where it's in some ways absolutely essential that we need him to do big man stuff when he's out there because he's usually the second or biggest guy on the court. And that's the problem right there. In some ways, he's got to be counted as one of the big men on the court because he's one of our biggest guys, but he does not play like a big man in helping us in certain ways. He does, but he doesn't. It's like different plays he turns on and off with playing big man kind of stuff. Some plays he does, but sometimes he's not. He's floating around as a point guard or a guard out in the middle of the court and not really down there fighting physically with Yak, helping Yak and with the rebound battle. That's the thing I'm wondering about right there. Yeah, Ninja's saying at Carlo, my point exactly. Yeah, about the Oklahoma City stuff. Trevor's saying, how soon we forget Detroit was like this last season in the bottom of the barrel, losing a lot. They're much better this year. Yeah, I mean, it's all going to happen the way it's supposed to, and we just got to, go along for the ride, and just hope things get better sooner than later. I'm with that. Yeah. Blackhawks saying this team needs consistency, rotation wise. That is a big building part. Defense only stabilizes a team. One thing I will say in the first two games of getting Bruce back, I don't think he's worth having around. I feel like in some ways the stuff that he does as a defensive player is already pretty good with some of the other players that we've been using already for this year. And honestly, Bruce is not adding enough offensively. There's a vacuum last night where Bruce kind of could have gone off and scored a whole bunch, but he didn't. What did he do in the game last night? He was quiet and annoying. He's a veteran, and he should be anxious to get out there and kick some major butt. But Bruce Brown, in some ways, he was out there for 19 minutes, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 1 of 2 at the free throw line with 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, a minus 22 with 6 points in 19 minutes. This was an opportunity for him to go off, and he didn't take it. So in some ways, I'm like, man, he's so expendable. He doesn't give us enough on our team to make him a priority to keep around for that amount of salary. So we need to trade him. I really, really do feel like we need to trade him ASAP because honestly, I don't think Bruce fits our team or is it necessary to be on our team. He's just kind of around. And in some ways, he's not gelled with our team as much as some of the other guys are. I don't want him in a rotation minutes when he's just not, it's not right. I don't know. I'm glad he's healthy and he's back, but we need to trade him, Bobby and Masai, because he doesn't fit with our team. I don't think he does. He may at some point, but I don't want to wait around for him to figure it out on how to, because we've been waiting around for him just to be able to play. Now we're going to wait around for him to gel with our team too. No, just go ahead and trade him. You can show in good confidence that he's healthy, and hopefully some other teams will be like, yeah, we'll trade you to get Bruce Brown because we want him on our team. Something like that. All right, Trevor's calling for a classic card and Instagram stories. We'll do the Instagram stories right now. We'll start with Scott, who looks a little bit like he's got glassy eyes. Happy New Year's, everyone. Love you guys. Let's have a great year. I hope so too, Scotty. I really do. It looks like you got back in time and you were in Toronto for the New Year's Eve celebrations last night. It did look like the Raptors did get back in time to be around Toronto for New Year's at midnight. But yeah, Scotty's got a little glassy eyes. I don't know if he was drinking or if he was smoking. I don't know. I mean, Lloyd told me that he doesn't drink. He doesn't drink alcohol at all. But maybe he smoked a little ganja. I don't know. He's got red eyes though. It's really interesting. There's the dogs with the Christmas tree, big girls, and they're wearing little Christmas sweaters, Cardi and Cece at Scotty's house. And you can see Scotty's Christmas tree there. Lloyd is listening to Kanye West on his Instagram. And there he is in New York City, walking across the street saying, Happy New Year, everybody. And yeah, that's Lloyd. Lloyd lives in New York. And he was probably around the Times Square craziness down there or something. Let's see. Jamal Shed coming into the game yesterday with this little rookie bag. That's a little pink Hello Kitty bag. And then there's a very good message from Jamal yesterday, 14 hours ago. DUI, $12,000. Funeral, $15,000. Uber, $20. Be smart tonight. There you go. Very good message. One that I'll echo and say myself on my stream all the time too. Don't drink and drive. Make arrangements. Have a plan if you're going to party, if like you did last night. That's right. There's the fireworks, and it looks like it's the fireworks over Lake Ontario, downtown in Toronto, off the barge. And there's some card playing going on at Jamal's place also in his condo. That looks like it's probably dad or uncle or somebody playing cards with Jamal on New Year's Eve. Oh, it's dominoes, actually. I see those bones. It's not cards, it's dominoes. Very, very cool. Throw them bones and watch the fireworks out the window. Jamal Shed. Jameson Battle is celebrating. Somebody got drafted into the draft from somebody who, where, what, Mark 20. Who is this? I don't have any idea who this is. But yeah, some sort of NFL thing Jameson's getting all excited about. Somebody named Travis. I don't know. Jamal McGlure Foundation. And just like that, 2024 comes to a close. And he's showing some highlights from what he did this year and his Jamal McGlure Foundation with the food and the events and giving laptops to students and all kinds of good stuff. Let's see. Gary Trent Jr. in the clutch. They got some highlights of Gary in Milwaukee right there. Davion Mitchell's back in the lab already at OVO Center, working out right now. It looks like it looks like Shed's there with them too. So yeah, they're putting in work already to start the new year. And there's his silent ball, Davion. And yeah, like I said, there he is with his brother for life. Some guy, I don't know who that guy is. Let's see, by 2024. And he's saying, let's just leave that game in 2024, the one that we played yesterday. Yeah, let's just do that. Shamshay with a picture of him and LeBron James on his Instagram. Of course, Shamshay is clutch, and Shamshay's getting words of advice from LeBron in this picture here. And then here he is on the plane, sleeping in his Raptors jacket with Emmanuel quickly making fun of or taking a picture of people. That's one of the things these Raptors like to do, is take pictures of each other when they fall asleep on the plane, and people kind of like making little goofy signs around them. Like there's one of Scotty that was posted recently by Davion. And then now there's this one of Shamshay with Emmanuel goofing around him there. Yeah, let's see what else. I don't even want to look at the Raptors official with the highlights of them working out and getting ready for the game yesterday. It was BS. I want to see the score. And there's Slim Duck saying almost time for the new year and new me bullshit. There you go. That's pretty funny. And that's the Instagram stories pretty much. It looks like the Raptors did get back to Toronto in time to watch the time change to the new year in Canada. So, you know, they got back and probably quick customs. And yeah, because the game was earlier in the day, they could travel in the evening and be back in time for Alvin Williams saying he was going to stay in Boston for New Year's. Matt Devlin had to travel back because he's got to do the game today here in Toronto, of course. Yeah. There you go. All right, let's keep going with this stuff. Blackhawks saying not skipping to the draft, basically walking and chewing gum. Yeah, I know. I mean, in some ways, I don't really want to talk about the team either right now. I mean, talking about the current state of the team and the things that are happening in the current games right now is just not fun. And I get it. I mean, I could over speculate the draft and talk about it over and over for the next 2 months or 3 months up until it happens. But I don't want to waste that kind of content. And I'd rather do the natural build up to it as we get closer. And it's still too early for me. It's too early for me. But yeah, we're going to have to get there. Trevor's got a cutoff for me already. All right. Carlos saying a lot of casuals losing their minds right now. This show, Lex, is much needed right now. So many casuals calling for a rebuild, and here we are. Yeah, I mean, I don't get that. I mean, what do you guys want? Seriously, if you guys are so change your mind so quickly, we're never gonna get anywhere. And that's what you guys got to understand. We have to establish people and establish them in our team. And if we can't establish any of them, we're just going to run around in circles and be a really bad team for a while. That's why we have to believe in Darko and what he's doing and allow him the chance to be successful in what he's doing. Because if you all just are gut reaction and you're overreacting and just like, this sucks, start over. When are we going to ever get anywhere? If you guys keep crumpling up the piece of paper and throw it in the trash, we can't do this over and over again. So we've made some very big decisions and invested some money in Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickly last summer. And we have to see through what's happening with that before we do anything like change the core or trade anybody or do anything like that. We have to see if we can have some success when we're healthy. And people that aren't patient, just go do something else for a while, please. In some ways, we don't need your microscope watching every little thing that we're doing right now to get back to being better, because you're not going to help. In some ways, you're just going to add noise that's unnecessary, and you're going through your own misery and agony on your own. In some ways, it's like, look, old me may have been in a really bad place right now with what's going on with the Raptors, but I've gotten really good at separating they're losing and being bad from me in my own life. And before, I couldn't do that. And maybe this is a lesson for some of the casuals, the younger people that are not able to separate this, that you need to go do it now just for your own sanity and your own lifestyle of being able to live your life. So, yeah, if you're having real problems right now because the Raptors are losing so badly, take a break, step back, maybe ignore the team for the rest of the season and come back and see us at the beginning of the year. Because honestly, it's not going to be helpful for you. And a lot of the noise that you're adding to everything is not helpful at all. Trust me, is not helpful at all. So, yeah, it is what it is. And, well, this is what happens when this happens. Y'all didn't want Fred around anymore. Well, this is part of what happens. Y'all wanted to move on from Pascal. Well, this is part of what happens. And unfortunately, it's just how we got to do it. It's just how it is at this point. We're on this route now. It's not like we can't go back and switch it back to being the team that we had with Nick Nurse and everybody 2 or 3 years ago. So just we got to deal with it and go through it. And that's all we can do. That's right. Cool Cat saying, Happy New Year's, my fellow Raptor Freak crew. Happy New Year's to you, Cool Cat. I hope you're having a great start to 2025 for you. And yeah, hopefully the good start will be a Raptors victory over Brooklyn later tonight. Yeah, I'll be heading down to the arena and doing my part to be loud and try and help them. If I can do anything to help them, I'll be down there loud in the 100 zone of the arena and putting that 300 energy on the downstairs floor. That will be what I do tonight. Yeah. And if I don't have a voice tomorrow, you'll know I did a good job. That's right. That's right. Neil's saying right now, Oshai is getting beat on defense due to size. Oshai needs to study how Bruce is attacking bigger opponents before they get to their marks. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, that's part of the problem with like having a 6'5" guy as one of your biggest, strongest guys and taking a lot of the rebounding duties is that you're going to get beat by taller players. I'm sorry. That's just basketball 101. Oshai's done a really good job in different ways. In the first half, he was fantastic at kind of corralling Jaylen Brown. And, there was a lot of that I was seeing. It was really, really good. And that's some of the stuff that won't show up on the stat sheet. And you won't be able to detect it very well is the defensive stuff that he was doing against Brown and a little bit against Tatum was really, really big time yesterday and tough, very, very tough, thankless because you don't see it and people don't understand it exactly. So, I mean, Oshai is not shooting well right now. In some ways, his offense is a little whack. He had there was a little bit of stuff around the basket that was real ugly with missed layups by the Raptors yesterday, and Oshai was one of them. Yeah, there was just some really bad, like there's some confidence issues right now with the losing and things. And because we don't have the confidence, we can't lock in as a team on defense and do some of the things we were doing earlier this season already. That's part of the problem is once something unravels, a little bit of everything else unravels also. And it's really, really tough to keep it together. That's why I was so impressed with the job we'd been doing most of the season up until this last stretch of games, because we could have had a lot more unraveling at earlier parts in the season than we didn't. So that's a good sign. It's just we've unraveled a bit now more recently in recent games, and it sucks. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate unraveling in games and letting the game get away from us. And that's what's been happening lately. That's what's been happening. Carlos saying, Happy New Year, everyone. I like that. Neil saying, I disagree, Lex. Bruce Brown has experience that these young guys need to learn from. This is why I suggest Mobo be the power forward, because our scorers need to learn how to defend from our vets. I just feel like we don't need him necessarily out of everybody. I mean, we got Garrett, Kelly's there. It's just that some reason, he doesn't seem like he fits. Like even last year when we had him initially and he was on one leg, his game was just never like uniquely important to us having it. Is kind of what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying as far as like, hey, you teach this, you can teach that. I don't know if he can teach any more than Davion can. Seriously.
because honestly, Davion is the best defender on point of attack defense on our team right now. And the things that he's doing can be passed to Shed, and Emmanuel is learning from him too on the down low, and vice versa. I mean, Emmanuel's teaching those guys offensive stuff, and in some ways, Shed and Davion are teaching Emmanuel defensive stuff. I don't know. Bruce is just such a weird player. And in some ways, sure, we want cowboy vibes. We want this or that. Okay. But I just feel like he's useless on our team in certain ways. And I'm ready for him to get traded. I'm so sick of having him just around, hanging around. I mean, we could disagree on this. I feel like Garrett Temple can teach all the vet stuff that Bruce could teach, and the defensive stuff that Bruce could teach. I think Davion could teach that. So I don't know if he's necessary. And in some ways, I'm like, you know what? If he was going out there and he did like 20 points last night and carried us a little bit, like I'd be like, yeah, this is a guy worth having around. But he couldn't do that. He couldn't do that. And that's what's worrisome to me, is that he's just like not anything extra special, and he's undersized at his position. And I don't see all the amazing, crazy things that he does. Not on our team. Maybe he does it on a team that's better and talented with more closer to the championship, because he can just fill in those little glue spots, but not on our team. We need too much other than him. And he just doesn't do enough in some ways. I don't know. He's like an extra or an easy, like, add-on piece to a team that's close that can help them get over the top, but not in our situation with where we're at. I don't know. We can disagree on this. I'm just annoyed with him because in some ways he could have stepped up yesterday, and done way better and helped us. Let's see. Blackhawks saying Darko is coaching from the sidelines, but our vets have to show these rookies in real time. That is what we need from Bruce while he's here. After trade, it will be too late for these young guys to learn. Yeah, I don't know about that either. I mean, they're learning from all kinds of different people, whether it's from the coaching staff, the coaches themselves. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Bruce, in some ways, has been a vibes kind of leader. He's not necessarily a leader, like as far as like what you're saying. I think it's more that he's like, I'm a pro. I've been in this league a long time. I've won a championship with the Nuggets. I've been around a lot of different players, and Jamal Shed has described him as his pro, as far as the older guy who's teaching him things. So he has been learning stuff that from him. But I still don't think, like, I don't know what it is. We got to remember also, how big is Bruce's contract and how much is he getting paid? I don't think he's worth it. I don't think he's worth it. If you think about that, he's like a $17 million man on our team or something like that. That's way too much for what he gives us as a player off the bench. So there's a couple different things I'm factoring into this with me, why I'm like, I don't want him on our team. If he had came back and been just absolute gangbusters and showed like an absolute crazy level of defensive prowess and making things happen, I would be like, okay, yeah, this guy's valuable. But he's not. He's not doing that for me. I'm sorry. It's just where I'm at with him. Fiercely saying, how does it work with players and their agents? Are they solicited as soon as they're drafted? I'm nervous about Shamshay being linked to Clutch. I mean, I don't even know at this point. I mean, I guess all along in the NBA, agents could be very manipulative. We know about David Falk and the ways that he used to run things with being Michael Jordan's manager and agent, and how powerful he was, and the different things he used to do when he was like the top agent kind of guy in the league. I think it's a totally different thing at this point. I think that there is major collusion. I think that Coloco is an example of it. I don't know. In some ways, we're going to have to just go through what we're going to go through. We know that Shamshay does not like a cold weather. He does not like the cold temperatures, and that's very worrisome. It is what it is. We're going to just have to see how it goes. If Shamshay turns into a punk ass, well, he'll be a punk ass. But hopefully he's loyal to Masai and the Raptors, and he goes through the process with us, and he learns everything, and he stays here, and we get the good stuff out of bringing him up. In some ways, that's what I worry about. The state that we're in, being so young, is we could create a lot of really good players in their early stage years, and they all go off to other places and in like a few years into their careers. That's the worrisome thing about rebuilds and having young players. You don't want to become a farm team for the rest of the NBA, gleaning your talent as they start to mature and they're ready to do more things because they're just going somewhere else. I worry about that. I do worry about that. And hopefully the Raptors know how to manage this all with their front office and be very, very smart. Let's see. Trevor's saying that's why I made sure everyone who attended my party last night did not have to drive and had a place to stay, because I don't want to have that feeling that I was if someone lost their life. I mean, yeah. I mean, there are laws where if you're having the party, you could be liable if somebody does leave your party and is drunk and has a very bad, unfortunate thing happen. So yeah, these are good things to be concerned about. I know when I was a kid and we used to have parties all the time, we never worried about this kind of stuff, and we probably should have. We probably very much should have. That's very responsible of you, Trevor, and I commend you for that. I commend you for that. In fact, I'm going to give you the first dunk of 2025 for being a responsible party host and making sure that your party guests, if they're coming to your house, are going to get it right. I'm going to give you a 3 because we're not doing this crazy over scoring that we did last season. There was too much craziness. You're getting the very first dunk of the year, 3-pointer for Trevor J for being a responsible New Year's Eve party host. There you go. There you go. Neil saying, I'm sorry you're not finding talking about the draft fun. It's about potential, and teams' current state doesn't change the fact that we have trades and draft picks every year. No, it's not that I don't find it fun. It's just I'm not knowledgeable of it. And in some ways, that's how I become knowledgeable of it, is you guys bring me the scouts. I think that we talk about the draft year round, and it's ridiculous. I don't want to talk about the draft. It's almost like as soon as the Raptors kind of lost a little bit, everybody got into tank mentality, and they're like, yeah, let's just talk about Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, and all this stuff. And I hate that. In some ways, I really do feel like the season is the season and everything in the right order. And draft period is more near the end of the year. And when the draft is coming up, I mean, we will probably not be in the playoffs. And there's going to be a lot of time where we're sitting around and there's no basketball games for me to cover for the Raptors because the playoffs are going on and other teams are playing. I'll go crazy heavy on the draft then because I have to for content. So part of it is balancing when I can have content for different things. Neil, does that make sense? I don't get over excited about the draft. I don't. I'm not a person that's like that into it. It's not that I hate it or anything. It's just that it's not an expertise for me as far as college players. And then also it's kind of like, well, we're playing games still, and we should be kind of covering the team still, even if it's difficult or ugly right now. It's kind of like that. It's not that it's not fun. It'll be fun. It's just that I don't like doing it so early. And it seems like if I did draft coverage from the beginning of the season all the way, it's like, what is this? This will get boring. It'll get repetitive. It's not like there's new stuff coming out about the draft all the time or something like that. No, it's not like that. And I'm not going to start covering college. I'm not going to start watching Rutgers just to watch Dylan Harper. I'm not going to start covering a college team. So it's just part of my workload and kind of how I do it too. And there's different parts of the year I'll be like, yeah, this is okay to talk about the draft, but it's too early to me. It's just way too early. It's not even all-star break yet. So in some ways, that's part of it right there. Let's see. Fiercely saying that's wise of you, Trevor J. Very wise. That's why you got the first dunk of the year right there. That's right. That's right. Jimmy's saying, hope you have a blast, Lex, and bring that energy. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Hopefully these guys are taking this seriously and they flip that calendar and they're going to flip all the stuff that's been happening out and come with a better, ability. In some ways, they have not started games very well offensively in the last 2 games. And well, we need them to get back on track and do a better job. That's what we want. Fiercely saying that Dinwiddie came back to the Mavs, D'Lo to the Nets. Would it be crazy to hope Pascal, Fred, Jonas, DeMar, or OG came back? Kyle is coming back for at least one day. Those players that you just named, Dinwiddie and D'Angelo, they're not on the same level as our guys that are on other places. Jonas doesn't make any sense. I mean, I could see Jonas is going somewhere else for like a contender. Him going from the Wizards back to Toronto, it doesn't make any sense other than if he wanted to come and reminisce about his time in Toronto and feel the vibes of being on a Toronto Raptors again. But I don't see why we would get Jonas. It doesn't make any sense for us. So, yeah, I don't think this is very likely. These guys are in new pay brackets, and these are not D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie pay brackets. And that means these guys are hard to move, OG, Fred and Pascal. So it's not likely. It's not likely, Fiercey, is what I'm going to say right here. DeMar, probably not likely either. Neil's saying, let's be real. The team was in a bad state before Fred left and Pascal was traded. Darko inherited a team that had defensive issues. We have to allow Darko to build this team up. Yeah. Yeah, and we are undersized overall. I think that we don't have enough bigs overall, and we are smaller at different positions than we were just a couple years ago because we have more 6'5" guys around our team all of a sudden. I love Jacoby, I love Oshai, but they are going to have some size discrepancies against most teams in the league because they're going to have like 6'9" guys they have to guard that are taller than them. And that's tough. That's tough. It is what it is. We got to just do our best and do what we can. Yeah. Jimmy's saying, to be fair, Bruce came back at the worst possible time. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But also, I would say this, he has the opportunity to really shine in this vacuum of bad stuff going on. But in some ways, he doesn't seem aggressive to do it. He kind of built himself up coming back saying, last year I was playing on one leg. I only had one knee that was working, and I'm way better than I was last year. But he hasn't shown that, even though he's fully healed now at this point. That's what I'm kind of annoyed with. If he is so much hurt last year, why is his production exactly the same as when he was hurt last year if he's fully healthy right now? That's something that's annoying me, is because he sold us on an idea that he was not his full self last year, but he's the same as he was last year. Does that make sense what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying right now. I mean, if this is a lull right now, this is a great opportunity for him to get all the chances to do what he needs to do to show himself off, because we need anybody to step up and score. I don't care who it could have been yesterday. If Jamal Shed wanted to drop 20 points on the Celtics yesterday, if he could have done that, I wish he had. Jacoby Walter, any of those young guys could have stepped up and made a name of themselves. Scotty could have done it, but he was not able to either. That's what I'm saying. In these kind of situations where you're struggling so bad offensively, this is when Tina Turner is saying we need another hero. And if you can get out there and be a hero all of a sudden, and it's kind of a game, well, you're going to get some shine. You'll get some praise from me, and I'll be saying, yeah, this dude's awesome. We need to keep him on the team. We need to keep him on the team. And in some ways, that's not what is happening there. That Canadian saying, I don't know, Shamshade seems to be too genuine to not tell us what he's thinking. At least this is the same guy who said, I'm going to make Masai proud. There's just little warning signs. And I mean, it's normal stuff. I mean, he just turned 19 2 days ago. And he came to Canada for the first time like a few months ago. And he's learning of what Canadian winter is like. And it's not even just Canadian winter. It's just winter. I mean, who knows how much winter he's ever experienced in his life around Cameroon. And that's the thing. It's such a culture shock, weather shock. And in some ways, he's been very open about being cold and being in Canada. And in some ways, he didn't like it. He doesn't like it. You can tell because the things he's posted. And that's a warning sign. But in some ways, also, it's like, yeah, everybody in some ways is annoyed with snow and freezing weather. In some ways, yeah, I can get that. But he's being very open about it on his social. And in some ways, I don't know if he should do that, because in some ways, maybe that is good that he's being honest and like that. I don't know. Dak Canadian, good morning and welcome back to the channel today. Yeah. Blackhawks saying, Lex, KO is not helpful on defense. The vets get 2 to 3 rookies paired up with them. Therefore, Bruce is good for Oshai and Grady. My comments are not about keeping Bruce. Okay. I mean, I'm not trying to argue with anybody right now. There's no reason to argue with anything. I mean, we can disagree about whether we want to keep Bruce Brown or not, but I'm like, no, I don't want to keep him. We could be utilizing his salary a little bit better. Like if they could turn around and get a big for him, I don't even care if he's not as talented. I just want more size on our team. In some ways, that roster spot should not be held by a little guy like that that's not doing anything with that kind of amount of money he's being paid. We need to get a bigger player in that position in the roster spot. That's what I would argue and say about that. Kelly Olynyk is not helpful on defense. It's tough because Kelly is ugly. Kelly does a lot of really goofy shit, but he is helpful. Trust me, he is helpful because in some ways he may be a step slow, but he's savvy and smart, and he's doing like grabby stuff, and he's a little dirty. And in some ways, he's dirty in the right ways that we may need a little bit of that quotient. We've said, oh, we need an enforcer. We need more enforcer kind of players on our team, possibly. Well, Kelly is one of those kind of guys that can do a little bit of that. And he's really well known around the league with the veterans of the rest of the league and also the refs. So there's a lot of stuff with him that is helpful in different ways than Bruce. And some ways I was like, man, Bruce, in some ways to me, is a shim sham man. Like he's telling us he's this and this, and even the NBA is saying this is who Bruce Brown is, but I have not seen this. I've never ever been super impressed with Bruce Brown, and I feel like he's overhyped and he's overpaid, honestly, and that is part of the problem right now. Is what I don't want to be the team that's overpaying him. I'd like to move him along. Is what I'd like to do. Yeah, Neil's saying we must take advantage of vets while they are here. Once they are traded, it's too late to learn from them. Each player has wisdom to share. Well, I'm positive that in some ways they may have learned as much as they can from Bruce Brown right now. I mean, he's been sitting there talking to everybody for most of this whole year in street clothes, and he's had a lot of time to talk to these guys behind the scenes, and he's been available. So I don't know what we're missing out with him as far as like maybe he's already been talking to them and they've gotten a lot of the information. I don't know. In-game experience, like he can show them stuff in the middle of the game. I don't know. He's not doing anything that special out there. Seriously. Like I said, there's stuff with Mitchell that is way more advanced on defense that I've been watching. I'm like, wow. Like, look at that. The way he snapped the ball or popped the ball out of his hand and he got it behind them and then he came around them and then he stole it. You know, there's a lot of interesting stuff that Mitchell's doing in that department. Bruce, I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see. Jimmy's saying, I've been watching the top 3 guys just to see how they are, but people are getting too excited about it. It's not a certainty we get any of them talking about in the draft. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, right now, the NBA has their ESPN power rankings out, and we are at the bottom of the barrel. We are in the top 3 for the draft because we're the 3rd worst team. Number 28 on the ESPN power rankings that came out this morning. We were 28 last week also. We're 7-26. And Toronto is expected to take its fair share of losses as it embarked on a full-scale rebuild following last season's teardown. But the fact the Raptors haven't had a single game with their expected starting 5 available this season is another disappointment as they are unable to fully assess this group. However, it has also played a part in Toronto currently sitting in the top 5 in lottery odds, which could be the best thing to happen to this group long term. So that's what Tim Bontemps is saying right there. He's recognizing the inability for us to have our starting 5 healthy on the court at all this season has been a huge stumbling block. And well, in some ways, he's also recognizing that this futility and losing may actually really help us in the long run. And that is just what we got to deal with right now. It is what it is. It is what it will be. Let's see. Blackhawks saying Bruce Brown's first game back, he was good. He is better than KO. I would say this. Kelly's first game back was perfect. Bruce Brown's first game back was not. Kelly Olynyk came back from his back injury and he shot perfectly and had like an amazing game. His very, very first game back from being back from injury. You can go back and look at it. I called it a perfect game. Out of anybody who's played this year, Kelly played the closest thing to a perfect game on his first game back. He did not miss a single shot. And he got like 7 or 8 rebounds and a bunch of assists in like 12 minutes. He had an absolutely perfect game. So, I mean, we can go look at it. Go look at Kelly's game log and look at the first game he played when he came back from injury. He was way better than Bruce. Trust me. He really was. Now, Kelly's ugly. I know Kelly plays real, real ugly, but he's way more useful to our team than Bruce Brown is. He just is. And he gets paid less than Bruce Brown is what I'm saying also. I mean, Kelly is bigger. He's got size, and that's something we need more of. Bruce Brown is undersized at his position, and he is not doing enough to help us to warrant him being a roster spot on our team. I'm sorry. It's just how it is. To me, this is what I see. And, Kelly's much more useful because he's a big that can get fouls, and he can somewhat corral big, big players. Bruce Brown, I'm sorry. He just – and you talking about how he can guard down low and he could teach Oshai that stuff. I'd rather Oshai learn it from people like Kelly in some ways. Because Bruce Brown, I mean, I get it. He's an anomaly. In some ways, you got a little 6'3" guy that can kind of guard at the small at the post. But honestly, do you really want to have that? like having that little guy down there playing post defense? No, you don't, because that's a detriment no matter what, just because of his height. I don't know. In some ways, this is not something I want to stand on a hill and fight with you about. I'll stay on my opinion. You can have yours. My opinion is I don't want Bruce Brown on this team anymore because honestly, he's not useful. In some ways, you could say, well, he's useful in teaching these guys. Well, he's been on the team for most of this year. He's probably taught them most of what he's going to teach them, is what I would say. Right there. Yeah. Tobias is saying, if you think this is cold, try living through minus 40 winters, Shamshay. Let's not wish that on anybody. Yeah. And in some ways, I get why it could be like this for him. I mean, seriously, this is totally new to him. So much stuff is new to him in his this year with Shamshay coming over from Africa and becoming an NBA player suddenly like this. This is all so new to him. So new to him. Trevor's saying, Lex, you forget Bruce Brown is still rusty. Second game back. Don't expect any miracles. He missed so many games. You have to get back in rhythm. I still don't see it, Trevor. I mean, listen, there's not anything new that I'm seeing from him that's wowing me that's any different than when he was half hurt last year. That's what my point is. And you could be right. Maybe there is a rhythm thing that'll hit in the next couple games and it'll be way different, but I don't see it. And this is part of the problem with these games recently. We've needed people to just step up, and there's all kinds of different people that could have done it, and nobody's doing it. And that's part of the problem. I get frustrated. Maybe a young player like Jacoby Walter, who's barely played any NBA games so far, I shouldn't expect him to step up and take over and start going on scoring tears like he did in recent games, but he did. In some ways, I expect Bruce Brown to step up and get us some scoring in games like yesterday because we're in that bad of a shape. And he needs to recognize, man, I need to carry a little bit more, or maybe I need to be a little bit more aggressive and get some points for our team. That's what worries me, is like, this dude's a vet. This guy's from a championship team. This guy's been around. In some ways, he should have been trying to carry us a little bit yesterday. In some ways, that's what I would say. Yeah. Jimmy saying, I would take Bruce back on a much friendlier contract. No, because honestly, first of all, we've got some undersized stuff on our team now all of a sudden. Jacoby Walter, as much as he's got a long wingspan and big hands and he's strong, he's still undersized for his position. Oshai is undersized for his position height-wise. And I just don't want a collection of these. I mean, some people have made the joke that we're Vision 6'5" at this point. And well, Bruce Brown does not help in the Vision 6'5". That's why I want a longer wingspan and a taller height in that roster seat on our bench, and that he's not necessary. We've got such good, talented young wings coming up, like Grady and Jacoby, that we don't need Bruce around. In some ways, he's kind of like Gary Trent Jr. this year, as far as like, dude, you're just going to hold up a spot in the rotation and take up minutes from young players we'd like to invest in for the future. Is that another argument that maybe you get behind on that? Seriously. And if you're talking about vet know-how and teaching us stuff, Garrett Temple doesn't have to play, and he can be that for us. I'm just saying. I mean, this is the way I look at it right here. Blackhawk saying KO is cooked. He is slow and out of position. I mean, I don't think he's totally cooked. I mean, he's useful in certain ways still. And seriously, the knowledge and know-how of Kelly Olynyk and the things he can do, there's still stuff he can teach for sure. I'm telling you. There's still stuff he can teach for sure. There's an interesting thing going on with him and Scotty right now. There's a lot of connection between Kelly Olynyk and Scotty Barnes in recent weeks. I can tell they're talking a lot more. In fact, they were seen out on the court before the game, practicing with each other in recent games. Just the two of them. And there's something interesting going on with them. I think that Kelly, in some ways, is teaching Scotty some stuff that y'all may be surprised. Once again, Kelly Olynyk had back problems this season. He hasn't been completely himself. Yes, he's getting older. Yes, he probably will retire in the next couple of years. But right now, we have to also remember he's a Team Canada person that's very, very prominent and important to that team. And in some ways, you know, he can be helpful to our Raptors. And I'm not going to dump on Toronto's own Canadian Scarborough guy, Kelly Olynyk, who dreamed of playing for the Raptors, watching Alvin Williams and listening to Fan 590 and do this. Bruce Brown, I have no allegiance to. In some ways, he's like, listen, he's just somebody who was thrown in the Pascal trade package. Kelly Olynyk very much wants to be in Toronto. And I know Bruce has been fine with being here. But, I mean, in some ways, we shouldn't even make this a Bruce or Kelly thing. It has nothing to do with each other. They're very, very different players. I want a bigger team. Bruce Brown's an undersized player. Get him off the team, is what I'm saying. And Kelly Olynyk is at least a big that we can have out there that we need more of. So why would you get rid of him? Is what I'm saying. He can be slow and cooked. Yeah, he's slow and cooked to a degree. But also at the same time, the knowledge and the veteran kind of stuff that's up there is very useful. Trust me. And it's more useful than the Bruce stuff right now. That's what I'm saying. G saying next year, I would like to see them get more vets. They may be practicing hard, but when scrimmages are against inexperienced and lower talent, not to be insulting, there's no real internal competition. Man, I mean, that's something that I felt like we did pretty good with the competition between guys coming in because, in some ways, Emmanuel and Davion are really good to have against each other, kind of priming each other in practice. Davion's such a good defensive player and Emmanuel's such a good offensive player. They really could test each other like that. Maybe you're right. Maybe in some ways we do need a shakeup of some sort and internal competition to really get these guys to get to new levels. Maybe you're right. I don't know how many, people are going to be like, why are we adding vets? Because we're a young core and we're building, I don't know. In some ways we'll have to see what Bobby and Masai decide. I don't necessarily want more vets because I don't know if they're necessary with the ones we've already got right now. And I don't want to, I mean, I get why people say we should stay young and build with a young nucleus. I mean, I get that too. Sometimes vets can be expensive. You just got to get the right ones that are the right price and what we need. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking there. Yeah. Neil's saying KO is not teaching Scotty. Scotty is using jump shots to score more to avoid getting banged up while he is working himself back in shape. No, he is. We saw it ourselves. Trevor and I noted this on the stream. Like, we watch League Pass before the game and we see like up to 90 minutes before the game, what's happening on the court with who's out there shooting around and who's doing stuff. And Kelly and Scotty were out there together. I don't know if it was yesterday, but it was in the last two games. It may have been the game against Atlanta that Kelly and Scotty were out there, the two of them working together and working on things, the two of them and nobody else out there with them. That's what Trevor and I saw. And so, I mean, you can say one thing, but if we see it on the court and they were actually working together, and there was even some stuff before the game yesterday that Kelly and Scotty were checking in with each other and kind of going over a couple things before the game. And when they're on the court together, watch how they're talking to each other too, Neil. You may be shocked and you may be like, oh shit, I am seeing what the Lex is saying right there. There's something going on with Kelly mentoring Scotty right now. And you may not believe it. And it doesn't have anything to do with jump shots or offense. It has to do with positioning. It has to do with physicality. It has to maybe even do with goon work. That, maybe Kelly's teaching him a little bit of the dirty tricks that he knows from his many years of playing. So, I mean, that is definitely something he could teach him. He could teach him how to draw fouls. He could teach him how to foul people better. He could teach him all kinds of, don't get it twisted. Kelly Olynyk is an encyclopedia of how to do dirty shit in the game and get away with it with the referees. So there is a lot of stuff that he can teach him. And in some ways, I can say there's way more that he could teach him than Bruce Brown could teach him. Seriously, there's way more Kelly Olynyk could teach Scotty Barnes than Bruce Brown. Because in some ways, Kelly plays more of the same position as Scotty than Bruce Brown does. I mean, I don't even understand Bruce Brown to a degree. I mean, seriously, bro, come on, man. What is going on with you? Can you do a little bit more than just run up and down the court and skip around? Do something, my guy. Because in some ways, you're the more knowledgeable player out there as a veteran. And meanwhile, we got young guys that are kind of looking around and you're just like, you're not stepping up. That's the problem. Maybe he needs a rhythm better. I don't know. I'll give him some more games and let's see if he shows me a little bit more. Maybe he shows more today. I don't know. In some ways, I don't totally like him making 1-3 and then talking trash to the Boston Celtics bench. What do we have to talk trash about? And that's why I never liked us being showboats or doing different things because we have not earned the right to be that this year. And anybody who's doing any kind of cocky talking to the other team, just shut up. We have no right to do that. Our team is horrible. And yeah, that's part of it right there. Blackhawk saying learning how to be a dirty player from KO is a step down in career. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, Joel Embiid learned how to be a dirty player from James Harden. And well, we hate him for it, but he's doing all kinds of different weird shit because of it. listen, seriously, we can have an argument about this all day, and it's not worth it. I don't want to waste any more time on this in New Year's because honestly, I do have a whole bunch of things I want to accomplish before I go to the game today. But I will just say this: Kelly Olynyk is useful because he has a very, very good understanding of physicality and what is allowed with the referees, and he goes and toes that line most of the time. And in some ways, that's very informative to Scott. Seriously. So, I mean, we could look at this in totally different ways. Obviously, you're a big Bruce Brown fan. I am not. I want him off the team because I feel like we've wasted our time with him this whole entire year. I don't think we're getting exactly what you think we're getting from him. And I feel like we get way more from Kelly, but this can be a difference of opinion and point of view. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I very much heavily advocate that we trade Bruce Brown. That because I just don't see the point of having him on our team. He's duplicitous, and it's not like what he gives us. There's not a better player on our team that's younger that can do it better than him already. And that's why I'm annoyed with him. Is because in some ways I think Jacoby Walter is a more useful, better player than him, and he's been in the league for what, 2 months? So I'm just saying, it's like, look, this dude's been around for so long. He has these accomplishments. He's been hurt most of this time, sitting around, and we got Jacoby Walter, who's a much better player to put in those minutes than Bruce Brown. I'd rather have more development in Grady and Jacoby than have Bruce Brown eating up rotational minutes just because he has a certain contract on our team. And that's where I'm at with this. Yeah. Smooth saying there's speculation that Kelly O is available for trade. I don't know. Well, I think there's speculation that everybody could be available. Kelly's been on the books for saying he doesn't want to play for another team, that he wants to finish his career with the Raptors. And I mean, I don't know if Masai's going to fulfill his wish of saying, you know what, we're really happy that you came here and we're glad you're on the team and we're going to respect that. And we're going to say, yeah, we're not going to trade you, Kelly. Even if people are interested or something like that. That could very well be that's part of the gentleman's agreement with why Kelly signed back with us in the offseason. I mean, y'all can be mad at Kelly all you want. He's a useful player on our team. And in some ways, you guys wanted an enforcer on our team. Well, Kelly's kind of the closest thing to an enforcer on our team, just so y'all know. So, yeah, let's see. Blackhawk saying, I'd rather Scotty learn aggressiveness from RJ. Well, you can learn that from him, too. Scotty can learn from all of them, different little things. I'm just saying that in some ways, Kelly can teach him more than Bruce can. Seriously, he just can, guys. He plays forwards. Bruce is a guard. Bruce is not like, there's not anything that Bruce Brown does dribbling wise or passing wise that Scotty's going to learn from. And the defensive stuff, I don't think he's going to learn anything defensively from him. He's going to learn cowboy music and cowboy hats. That's what he's going to learn from Bruce. He's not going to learn much other than that. Seriously. Let's see. Smooth saying Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and Chris Boucher are all in trade talks via NBA insiders. Yeah, well, we knew Chris. Chris would probably be involved in those. He's playing at a high level, and, who knows? Either way, it's all speculation. And in some ways, sometimes the Raptors don't even get involved in this kind of stuff. I think it's very clear that they're going to try and move Bruce. I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. And I think that they understand that. They've wanted to move him for a while, and they just haven't been able to. They're going to pick the right time to do it. But the time's running out. The dude's contract's going to be up, and then he's just going to be gone. And, well, we'll see what happens. I trust in Bobby Masai. They're going to take care of things the right way. Jimmy's saying, in a perfect world, our lineup would be Grady, IQ, RJ, Scott, and Yak. And the bench, Davion, Bruce, Jacoby, or Oshai, Mobo, and Kelly. I would love to see a steady sample of it. Me too. I think we all need to see it before we make any judgments about whether our team is good or not. We all need to see that. Yeah. Neil saying, I'm not a Bruce Brown fan. I'm a believer in learning from vets. I feel like we've got good vets that we learned from already on the team. I don't know, man. In some ways, I feel like he's just been kind of like a guy in a cowboy hat that's a cheerleader for our team lately. And then maybe he's a glue guy. Maybe he's a good locker room guy. But I don't know. I don't know how much. I mean, there's little things they're all teaching each other. But, man, that Garrett is obviously the one that they all gravitate towards and listen to the most as far as one of the vets. And, I'm sure that Chris and Kelly and Jakob, they get their little parts in here and there too. So G saying CP3, Chris Paul, is helping Wemby. I'm with Blackhawk. Players are playing until near 40 now. It's a different NBA world. Rockets benefited from the vets guiding the youth. I've never been anti having vets on our team. In fact, I've fought a lot of people with saying how important they are. So I'm not disagreeing with you guys at all. I feel like we got the right balance though without Bruce being on the team. Like all I'm saying here is listen to me one more time. Bruce Brown is an undersized guard I want to replace with a 4 or a 5 so that we have another big on the team with it. Now, visualize what I'm saying and then understand that that gives us more depth in the front court with rim protection and rebounding. That is what I want to do with him. As far as if I got my pick, we would trade him and we would get a big to join the team that's more helpful that could actually play in the rotation. Does that make sense? Because that is upgrading us from a smaller size, undersized team to being a little bit more bigger. That's what all I'm saying. It's not about Bruce specifically. It's just that he, in some ways, is not necessary on our team, and that is way more necessary on our team right now. Does that make more sense? Because I think we're getting bogged down with like it's Kelly versus Bruce, or is this about Bruce not being a good player or a good vet for our team? No, it's just that I think we could upgrade in size by flipping him into a bigger player. That's all. That's my main point right there. That's it right there. Neil's saying, oh, hell, trade Kelly. He's a tortoise shell without a shell. I can't do this, guys. I can't do this because in some ways he's a two person for us. He's a Team Canada person and a Raptor for us. And once again, listen, I may be a little bit of a homer and a little bit of like, yeah, I got to give special consideration for RJ, AJ, Eugene, Quincy, Chris, and Kelly, because these are our Canadian guys. And I don't see, as much as y'all's argument is about keep Bruce around because he can help veteran wise, I'd say the same damn thing for Kelly Olynyk. And plus, I'm more trusting in Kelly with his places in his mind because he has that connection emotionally to our franchise. And that in some ways means we'll get more from him. And honestly, I mean, seriously, he's ugly to watch. I get it. But in some ways, I enjoy watching him play his crazy hockey basketball. And some of it's so goofy and ugly. I'm like, yeah, that's hilarious. I love seeing this little bit from Kelly. But don't get it twisted. Kelly's a sure shot on 3 often. He's doing a lot of good stuff for us. And I mean, it looks ugly. I get it. And y'all may be embarrassed by him. But let's not get it twisted. That's our guy from Canada that we watch on the Canadian team also. And I'm not about to sell him out or be like, yeah, this guy, yeah, we don't need him on the team. He's very useful for our team. And I don't see there's any problem with Kelly. I don't even understand why we're talking about him so much. I really don't. Seriously, that's the way I look at it right there. That's the way I look at it right there. Yeah. Neil's saying, of course, they're going to move Bruce Brown. They should. They should. They needed to move him last year, honestly. But they haven't been able to because he's been hurt. So it is what it is. G's saying, I should add vocal vets, not just vets for the sake of it. Yeah. Yeah, and then sometimes you can have a toxic vet, a vet that comes in, you think he's going to be a good leader, but he doesn't care, and he kind of shows apathy, and he's kind of like not very involved, or maybe he's jaded, and maybe at some point he's like, yeah, I came to Toronto really just for the money, Otto Porter, and then like I'm not really around for anything other than just like kind of be here, just because I'm still holding on to NBA career. I mean, there's that worry too. You got to get the right ones. Neil saying, Darko said himself, Bruce Brown is who he studied for cutting. Yeah, he did say that. But I mean, seriously, some of these guys that are cutting for our team have it naturally. Like Grady's a natural cutter. Jacoby's a natural cutter. Maybe there's some ins and outs. But like I said, there's already a lot of time accrued with Bruce around. It's not like you hold him around just for this reason. No, we need to trade that asset and get more for the money that he is in the salary cap. Because it's not adding up. It's duplicitous with other guys on the team that are younger that I'd rather have around. In some ways, like I said, this is a very similar situation to Gary Trent Jr. last year with us, is Bruce Brown right now. Yeah, G saying, I'm okay with Brown being traded, meant in general in regards to vets. Yeah. I mean, I think that we've got the right amount of vet right now. In some ways, we're going to be in the rebuild. We do need to lean heavy to the very young, under 25 core that we've got. I mean, I feel like Garrett catches so much of this stuff and does it himself. But, Jakob and Chris as kind of like, guys that are kind of steady pros that show up and do things right, they really ensconce and show a lot of stuff too. I mean, Kelly's useful also, even though you guys are dumping on him today. He's useful also. That's 4 vets right there. And in some ways, Davion, even though he's as young as Scott, he's kind of a vet in some ways too, because of his knowledge and his experience in the Western Conference for the Kings. So it's all different levels. RJ is a leader. He's a young guy, but in some ways he can start showing some more leadership and vet kind of stuff towards his team earlier in his career, I'll bet, just because of that kind of stuff too. And we know that Emmanuel is a very natural leader also. When he comes back, that'll be interesting. Yeah, let's see. Smooth Sand, Bruno Fernando's contract fully guarantees on January the 8th. Do they keep or waive? I'm not obsessing about this in some ways. We'll just let Bobby and Masai do their job, and we'll see what they decide on this. I thought that he was already guaranteed for the whole season. I'm confused about this a little bit, but if he isn't and they don't like what he's doing, well, maybe they can upgrade with him. In some ways, they could flip him for maybe a much more capable rotational big. But maybe he's the best we can get too, and he does get fully guaranteed. I don't know. In some ways, that's stuff that the front office knows better about what's possible as far as things. It could very well be that he's not smart to flip out and bring somebody else into the crew. It may be safe to just keep him where he is and do guarantee it. In some ways, I'm not going to second guess the front office on that. Neil's saying Bruce and Kelly need to be shipped out. I don't think Kelly needs to be. Seriously, I don't think he needs to be, because he's useful for a team. And in some ways, he doesn't care about winning or losing. That's the other thing. Bruce may be more interested in being on a team that's going to compete in the playoffs. In some ways, Kelly doesn't care. Kelly's at the end of his career. He's done a lot in his career. And in some ways, he's the kind of vet that doesn't mind being around our team and mentoring our guys, even if we're not winning a lot. So that's part of it right there. Jimmy saying, I understand your points about Bruce, but he's only played 2 games coming off of surgery and had a good debut. Maybe a little unfair to him. He's a good player, but if we can get something good, awesome. Yeah, it's not even about listen, if he wowed the hell out of me and went crazy, like if he had a 20-point game in one of these 2 games, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I can see keeping him around. But he got like 6 points in this game, and there were a ton of people that a lot of places he could try to score more. The Raptors needed somebody to score. And if he's so good, why couldn't he go get us some points yesterday against the Celtics? I don't know. Maybe I'm dumping on him too much. Maybe we're just on different sides of things with him. I just don't feel like he's useful to keep around right now. And he's holding some people up in some ways too. Kenyon's here. Raptor Streak, you are correct. You need vets who are constantly in the trenches with you. Yeah. Yeah, well, I feel like Chris is doing a good job. Jakob, very much center of the trenches and being the trenches. He is the trenches. Jakob is the trenches. There, UC's here. Happy New Year's, Raptors gang. Happy New Year's to you, UC. And Neil's saying, I have never said keep Bruce Brown around. That is your misinterpretation. I will say it again. Learn while the vet is here. The vet will be gone. It's inevitable. Yeah, I think you and I are just not on the same page, like thinking wise. I don't know. Maybe it's like you're in a weird mindset this morning. It's fine. I'm not arguing with you, Neil. It's just different perspectives. We're very much fleshing out the whole idea of what Bruce Brown is and what is he to this team and whether he matters to be on this team or not. And I think the common judgment here is that Bruce could be traded. That's not a problem. Nobody has any problem with that. Maybe some of us see the value in him, what he's given to the team differently, and that's fine too. I'll say this, he's been around the team for most of this year once again, and whatever vet stuff he's going to give the team, he's probably given most of it already, is what I'm going to say about that. And as far as his on the court play, nothing has wowed me. Nothing has made me think this guy is so valuable that the Raptors need to keep him on this team. Not last year and not in the 2 games so far this year either. And in some ways, it's like I said, they built us up for this. As far as the first couple months of the season, he was hurt, and we were like, well, when is Bruce coming back? And then the whole stupid thing about him taking his surgery right before the season. Yeah, some of this stuff is fishy. Some of this is just good PBR and saying it's like, yeah, maybe this guy is like, I don't know. Either way, I feel like he's a waste of time, guys. That's how I feel. I'm allowed my opinion. Y'all can have your own. And I seriously, Neil, I'm not trying to argue with you or anything. I think we agree on pretty much 90% of everything we're saying right now. Let's see. Basketball Rewind saying we had vocal vets that got shut out by the young leaders, Thad. I don't know if there's a trade for Bruce Brown, but either way, I don't see him being here beyond this season. Yeah, he's a free agent at the end of the year, right? So in either way, it's not like I would hate if the Raptors reinvested in him anywhere near his salary right now. I'd be pissed off. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see what happens as far as with Bruce. Yeah, I was annoyed with some of the young Raptors that we had a couple years ago, Champagny and Delano and Scotty. When they came in, they shut out some of the main vet voices on our team that were valuable, and they should have listened to them better. Some ways, Fred got turned off from being a leader on our team by dumb forces on our team that just didn't understand how important he is. And well, the Rockets are getting the benefit of Fred's tutelage at this point. And it's too bad our Raptors, when they were young, were not smart enough to understand that Fred is a really good teacher and somebody that will get you guys right as pros. They didn't value it enough. It pisses me off to this day that Fred wasn't respected enough as a leader. Thaddeus Young, obviously, him and Scott did not get along that one day at halftime in the shoot around with the argument. And that's what I'm saying. In some ways, maybe there was a learning curve for understanding vets and their place in counseling and teaching young players. And they maybe realized it too late. And some of the really good leaders we had on our team before have gone off in the sunset, and we miss them now. But it is what it is. We've got Garrett. Garrett's a fantastic leader. And I really do truly believe that some of these other guys, like Kelly, may be the second most important leader of the vets because he's probably the most vocal between Jakob and Chris as far as the bigs and talking to them. So, I mean, y'all can say that you hate Kelly because of the way he's so ugly on the game and be like, yeah, we don't want Kelly on this team anymore, this, like that. But man, I tell you, he's very valuable. He's very, very valuable, even if he's playing the ugliest brand of basketball you ever seen. Seriously. Trevor's saying SGA dropped 40 points on Minnesota and Cleveland beat the Lakers at home. They told LeBron Happy New Year. There you go. I like that. Cleveland's a good team. They beat the Lakers in LA. Fantastic. I love that. I love that. I don't hate. I should hate the Cavaliers, but their excellence is making me respect them right now. And in some ways, you know what? If I'm kind of a team person where any team that hasn't won a lot or is had a lot of problems or should not be winning in the eyes of the NBA, I'll root for them. Even though Cleveland's got a championship with LeBron a couple years ago, this is still an underdog kind of team in the whole scheme of the overview of the NBA. Cleveland's not a flashy big market. And well, anytime a smaller team does well and pisses off the NBA, I'm happy. In some ways, that's what the NBA needs to do to fix itself. If you're wondering why the NBA sucks, it's because it's too script righted. It's too much like you guys are favoring certain teams and other teams you're not. And you ignore the other teams and you don't put their stars on shine. And you try and manufacture golden boy stars that drop the ball and are absolute idiots like Ben Simmons and Zion Williamson. So it's like NBA, right? Don't write the stories. You find the stories in the games and the way they're played. And if the story is in Oklahoma City and it's SGA, we'll give them the proper spotlight. If the story is in Toronto and the team is good in Toronto and it's Scotty Barnes, give him the proper spotlight across the United States too. That's part of the problem with what you're doing, Adam Silver, compared to David Stern. David Stern could market all the teams in the NBA correctly, and they could be healthy markets because he did not ignore so many teams like you do. There's obvious that you have a stratosphere of certain teams that are above everybody else, and those are the only ones that you like to market. Well, this is part of the reason why your league sucks, is because you're trying to pick and choose your storylines and which teams you put at the top when you should be allowing it to be naturally decided in a meritocracy of who's winning and whose teams are deserving it, because they're the teams that are at the top of the league with the best records. So yeah, I would say stop fucking doing your media machine in certain ways where you shun teams, even if they're top level teams, just because they're in small markets. So yeah, stop picking and choosing your storylines and let the storylines be naturally evolving in the league, whether it's beyond players or teams and what they're accomplishing. And that's where the problem is right there. There's no, you guys don't reward guys for doing really well anymore unless they're on big teams. Then you put them on blast like crazy. And it's so stupid. And that's part of the reason why your product sucks right there, what I just described. If you know how to fix that, well, maybe you'll do better, Adam Silver. Maybe you'll do better. Basketball Rewind saying Davion and Barnes have also been in the league for the same amount of time. I know, but what I'm saying is that Davion is obviously a very accomplished defensive player, and that what he's doing is very, very useful for other guards on our team to learn, like Shed and Emmanuel. Emmanuel said it very much at the beginning of the season in practice. leading into the season in Spain and Miami that Davion Mitchell is making him a better offensive player because he has to play against him in practice every single day at that time. So that's part of it right there. Also, Kenyon saying, I did like that Barnes took ownership after the Atlanta game and said it's on us to be better as players. The response wasn't great after in game, hoping for the best moving forward. Yeah. I like that you're staying positive, Kenyon. And in some ways, I like also that you're not just coming in and attacking either players or the front office or the coach. In some ways, you're looking at this and you like that Scotty took responsibility. Unfortunately, that didn't accountability didn't matter for results in the next game still. But well, they got to keep going and they got to keep figuring it out. And well, hopefully we flip this calendar to 2025 and today we get a totally different result. That would be very nice. I got about 15 minutes. I'm going to get out of here. We'll do the classic card in just a sec. Neil saying totally good with Scotty's response. That was the first mature response for him to give. Yeah, he's been getting better and better with the media, and in some ways because he's more of a franchise face, and there's other guys that are gone now, like Fred and Pascal, that would take a lot of this stuff. He has to take it now, and he's doing a pretty good job. He's doing a pretty good job, I think, as far as like handling his own emotions, because he's a very emotional guy and very sensitive, with also balancing being available for the press and talking and being a leader for the Raptors at the same time. Let's see. Kenyon saying Garrett isn't truly in the trenches enough. Regarding KO, he is retiring as a Raptor. He has a bad back, but he isn't likely going anywhere. Can't get Canadian talent, then send it out the door the next day. Yeah, I completely agree with Kenyon on this. And this is the stuff you guys are not realizing. Is that Kelly is pretty much going to be a Raptor till he's done. And it's not likely he's going to get traded. And as Kenyon's saying here, his back's bad. There's not many teams out there that are going to want something for him. So in some ways, the return for him won't be very good. We might as well just get what we get out of him for now. Now, if it's a factor where we get better bigs around him all of a sudden, like say we trade Bruce Brown and we get a better rotational big and Kelly just goes into the sunset as far as at the end of the bench and barely ever playing, would that make y'all happy? If he kind of went more like that with Garrett, as far as sitting at the end and being only break in case of emergency or whatever at that kind of way, because that's where he could be in the next couple of years or this year, by the end of this year, if we make the right moves and we get enough big front court help, then Kelly maybe goes like Garrett, and he's a very bit player at times. I get what you're saying about Garrett. He's not in the trenches enough, but maybe he is, Kenyon, because I know that Jamal Shed said this. A couple other guys said this, that when Garrett got his number called earlier this season, he came out and he played so good just coming out there. They see how he did that, and they're like, wow, this is how you be a pro. You got to be ready at all times and just keep yourself in good shape physically and mentally so that you can do what you need to do. So that he is showing kind of like, I get what you're saying. We need more trenches, like as far as they're in the games helping us to win as vets, because their veteran know-how is getting playing time. I get what you mean with that. I get what you mean like with that. Let's see. He's also saying, Raptor Freak, the NBA is making the right moves going back to partner with NBC. I agree with this. NBC will do a much better job because they are invested in a lot more local markets. Stern was more focused on cleaning the game up. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Stern way back. I mean, listen, David Stern made the NBA. He did. He did. He understood the stars of Magic and Larry and Michael, and he marketed them, and he made the product, the NBA, what it is. But the way he did that was he had all the teams in the league kind of getting a shine and a chance to be like known. And he didn't have this league of haves and have-nots that Adam Silver has created. It's really annoying, honestly, because back in the days, even if your team was the Clippers or the Kings or some really bad team, you still had a pride and you got your share of visibility in the league. But at this point, they're trying to shut people out and make them unknown or not anything. If they're in a situation like us, well, we don't even exist anymore. We're on the dark side of the moon and nobody cares about us. And rightfully so to a degree, because we're not relevant. But the marketing of the league, they never would do this where it would stratify things and make it feel like this. Now, the Christmas Day games are bad, very, very bad in some ways, because they are kind of showing there's an eliteness or all this kind of stuff. It's bullshit. That's part of the problem right there, is that he's making the league stratified so that there's certain teams that everybody looks down on. and then people don't think that they're worth watching. And why would you want to make your league like that? You want everybody to watch every game for all 30 teams. And you want the 30 teams, the ones at the bottom like us, to be encouraged to watch. Like, fans don't want to watch the Raptors right now. Everybody's telling them they suck and they're a waste of time. Well, the old NBA would market them, even if they were shitty, to be still watchable, but not at this point. And that's part of the problem. It's like the marketing of the league is actually hurting the league in some weird ways, is what I'm trying to say here. It's very, very interesting. David Stern was a genius. David Stern did a good job. David Stern kept gambling out of the sport, and Adam Silver did not. And Adam Silver has ran this league into the ground basically in the last 12 or 14 years that he's been in charge. So yeah, it sucks, because I can go by what the league was like when Adam Silver became the person in charge, and it was a way better league. And it's just gotten worse and worse at this point. It really has. It's too bad. And the league is in crisis to a degree. I think NBC will help, though. But unfortunately, ESPN and all that is it still involved? Because they are horrible. They're absolutely the worst at covering the NBA. ABC, ESPN did such a bad job and made it all tabloid and really, really horrible. The NBC, if you can bring back some of the old feels and the old way of covering the league, that would be very good. We'll have to see if they're successful at that. We will. Randolph is saying, happy and blessed New Year's to all our beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. May this year be kind to you. Believe that every goal is achievable and pursue them by faith. Thank you, Randolph. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families in this brand new year, 2025 right now. That's right. Basketball Rewinds. Yes, you got it perfectly about the bets. Okay, awesome. I like that. Trevor's saying NBA countdown. Chris, 3-point shots at number 4. So that half-court shot, the halftime shot he made was the number 4 best play on the NBA countdown. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. That was a fun shot. It was pretty and it was difficult. It was a little off balance, and there was a defender near him. Yeah. Kenyon saying, my point about Stern is that he was unfortunately distracted and let the NBA get overrun by the TNT guys who stopped respecting the players and the product. Remember how OKC Thunder got back at them? Yeah, I mean, I think that they've been good for the game. The inside the NBA guys, I think that the people that have been the worst for the NBA have been the talking heads like Stephen A. Smith and the ESPN machine, and the over focus on the Lakers, the over focus on trade speculation, the over focus on just certain individual players that just don't need to be over focused on. Just like the tabloidness of it. It's like ESPN made the NBA more like TMZ. They didn't make it like, that's the thing. ESPN used to be like, I make this joke. I remember when MTV had music videos on it. Well, I remember when ESPN actually reported sports. And that's the thing, is like, it's a tabloid channel that's all hearsay and talking heads and editorials. And when they should really be just doing a highlight show that's showing all the best dunks from every NBA game. And they should be just showing highlights and reporting the scores and reporting the good players in every game. And they shouldn't just ignore certain games because they were bad teams. They should thoroughly do every single game every night, show a proper highlight package, and do it as reporters, not as personalities, not as like talking heads. They should be doing it as this is Stuart Scott, and I've got your ESPN NBA package, and I'm going to show you all the games in a row. We may start with the most marquee one and do like the highlights of the dunks and do all the funny sayings just like ESPN used to do. Where is that? Is SportsCenter still like that? Or is it just a bunch of people sitting around talking about their opinions about teams? That's where I think it went wrong. I think in some ways the down hominess of Charles Barkley and Shaq and those guys, sure, maybe they kind of like made it a joke because they didn't do their job and research the other teams. And you're right, they do insult the league and say things that aren't helpful to the league. You're exactly right. But I think their personality and their realness and authenticness kind of overrides it for entertainment. And you're right, though. In some ways, you're exactly right that they've put down the product, and in some ways, that's echoed into the product being worse. In some ways, because they're pointing it out. Oh, this team's so bad. Why would anybody watch them? I'd rather go and watch paint dry. Okay, Charles. Yeah, you're really selling the NBA product right here. Really, really selling it. That makes sense what you're saying. He's also saying Silver was focused on growing the revenues and achieving labor peace, so now he can focus on finding the correct partners. You will be seeing the marketing change soon. ESPN has become a minor partner. Thank you, and that'll be awesome. Keep Stephen A. Smith away. Yeah, yeah. Notice how the NFL keeps trying to subtly keep that dude as far away from the NFL as possible. TNT was fine until Shaq was Shaq and a fool. Miguel bullying, etc. Couldn't pronounce P-Skill's name. Yeah, that's the other thing. Those guys can't say players' names. They don't know the league, and they're getting paid so much money. In some ways, they're entertainment guys, and they aren't really NBA experts because they don't even know the players in the league at this point. If you're going to get paid millions of dollars to cover the NBA, you should know the NBA. Is what I've often criticized Charles for that, for sure. But yeah, Shaqtin' the Fool, you may be right. You may be onto something here, Kenyon. As far as Shaqtin' the Fool, the damage it possibly could have done. Yeah. He's saying we need more Candace Parker, please. She was amazing. The W needs to be very careful about letting this vultures in. Yeah, yeah. In some ways, they need to be very careful with how they're covered too. No, people like Jamal Crawford, Vince Carter, Danny Green. These are great former players that are just about to get more involved in broadcasting, and they actually break it down and do it the right way. And I appreciate them for it. Jamal Crawford's been fantastic as an NBA analyst. There's different people that are doing a really, really good job. And I want to see more of them. I want to see more of them involved. All right, let's do the classic card. Get out of here. I got 5 minutes before the 2 hours. All right, guys, here we go. Here's the classic card. Not very classic. It's from Christmas once again. And the niece and nephew gave it to me. So what is this card? It's a city edition card. It's pretty easy. So just give me this classic card, full name right now, and you will get the classic card points. Chet Holmgren. Yeah, I'll take it, even though it's spelled wrong. Nins is going to get the classic card of the day. It is Chet Holmgren. I like it. Yeah, Chet Holmgren. Wasn't he hurt once again this year or something like that? All right, we're going to put Nins down. Nins, and it's just 100 points. This isn't some crazy, huge classic card. Boom goes the dynamite. Good stuff. All right, let's see. I always thought it was there was a T at the end of this name. No, it's like an M or something like that. Where is it? Holmgren. See, it's Holmgren. It's a weird name. It's a very weird name. All right, let me do the rundown. I'll get out of here, guys. All right, let's see. Today, the Raptors are playing the Nets later today at Scotiabank Arena. I got to get down there and drive down to the arena and watch the game. Grady Dick apparently is day-to-day because of his hamstring. Let's see. RJ Barrett is day-to-day due to illness. And then Emmanuel Quickly is out. So we'll have to see if we get either RJ or Grady back. As I said, part of the reason the Raptors had such a hard time scoring yesterday is two of their best scorers were out in RJ and Grady. In fact, maybe their three best scorers are out with Emmanuel, RJ, and Grady. Those are their best scorers. Brooklyn is showing these injuries on their list right now. Bojan Bogdanovic is out due to his foot. Trendon Watford is out due to his hamstring. Cam Thomas is out, hamstring. And Zaire Williams, the former project of Darko when he was in Memphis, he practiced, but he is not ready to be back yet. He is out due to a knee injury. The referees for today's game, Curtis Blair, he favors the Raptors. Nate Green, he favors the Nets. And Matt Boland, who favors the Raptors. So it's a fairly fair crew to the Raptors. We'll have to see how we do with this referee crew. Of course, we lost the Celtics yesterday in the worst loss in franchise history, the biggest margin. It's embarrassing. I did not give any stars for the game yesterday for the Raptors. They got no stars for the first time this season because nobody deserved them, honestly, in my opinion. There you go. There you go. Let's see. Wayne Sand, morning, Raptor Freaks. Happy New Year. Don't know if Darko has or will put down the hammer on the no performance of his most talented and major development prospects. Oshai and Scotty are on my list. Okay. And he's saying don't pay too much for them concessions. Now, we're going to go to Real Sports before and eat a nice dinner. We got reservations there. And, I mean, I don't mind paying a little bit in there to eat. The other thing is, Kenyon, I know a lot of the people that work there. And I get sometimes some stuff just inexplicably sometimes myself just because they're old friends of mine that work in there. Because I was food and beverage at the arena a long time ago, and a lot of my friends still work there, just so you know. So we have a shot. We got to beat the Nets today. I'm sick of this losing. This losing streak needs to end now, Raptors. We don't need to be on a 12-game losing streak after tonight. We need to beat the Nets while we can right now. They just got D'Angelo Russell, and they're a little bit like getting into the new part with him coming back, and they have to bring him back in the fold. So we're going to have to see what's up. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. He's saying, if we get beat by Ben Simmons, I will throw up. Yeah, and Kenyon's saying, you can go broke so soon. It'll be $100 for water. Listen, I'm not worried about that right now. Let's not bring this up right now. I've got like 20 seconds. I got to get out of here by 2 hours. Nins is saying, enjoy the rest of your day. Let's go Raptors. Yeah, I hope I do by them winning. That would be awesome. Then real quick, there's a couple of birthdays really fast. Happy birthday, Rondé Hollis Jefferson. He's a New Year's Eve baby. New Year's Day baby. Linus Kleza, also his birthday today. And apparently it's Jack Armstrong's birthday today, guys. Jack Armstrong has his birthday on New Year's Day, apparently. So happy birthday, Jack Armstrong. He'll be calling the game later on TSN. And also happy belated birthday to Nako the Nacho, whose birthday was yesterday on New Year's Eve, y'all. Just so y'all know, it was Nako's birthday yesterday. I forgot to mention it yesterday. He's saying, yeah, all right, let's go Raptors and beat the Nets tonight. Fuck Brooklyn. And let's just end this misery. Please get a W. It'll be so good for our fan base and for the players. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and join the channel if you feel like. Let's go Raptors. I'm going to the game. Hopefully y'all will have a great time watching the game and a big victory for the Raptors. Yeah. Woo. Let's go Raptors.